On that day, I was a reporter for the Associated Press. I was in Sarasota covering President Bush's appearance at that school as sort of a routine news event, only to find myself in the midst of a very tragic and historic day.
I was in my office here at the university, ready to go to Washington, D.C. for a conference. I received a telephone call from the organizer of the conference telling me that probably my flight is going to be canceled to Washington.
Just a couple of days before that, I was at the Pentagon visiting, and I had just, one of my companies, I have a dive company at the point in time, they were doing some work, just outside the Pentagon nearby, and I had just driven by it. You never think, of all places, that the Pentagon would be a place that would be, attacked.
And so I remember coming home and I saw my mom watching television, and all I remember seeing on the screen was the Twin Towers, and they were in smokes, like on fire. And so at that moment, I didn't understand what was exactly going on, but I knew something wrong had gone on because my mom was on the phone, and they were just it was just a little chaotic in the house.
I immediately realized that that was something huge, and my instincts were right, and it turned out to be a huge event, something that I can never forget.
My first thoughts is obviously for the well-being of those that were in the building at the time. You just do not want to lose a good friend, a family member, a brother or sister, a husband and wife, a mom and dad who may be in the building at that particular point in time. So my concern was about the well-being of those, not only the military, but those civilians that also work in the Pentagon.
It was just such a tragedy. Just, America was just so hurt, and I remember all that to this day.
The reality is we were always vulnerable, and that these things had happened to Americans overseas. We were not used to it happening here at home.
I think the world really has changed since that tragic day, because American foreign policy has changed, and because the U.S. is the only superpower in the world. When America sneezes, the rest of the world catches cold.
Certainly people's behavior, people's attitude have changed towards Islam, but also, it's also kind of gotten Muslims to become more active in the community, to kind of raise that awareness, to reach out to the public and kind of explain Islam to them, because there's a lot of people who don't understand, what Islam's beliefs really are. They kind of go by what they see in the media.
I think that people sort of lived amongst each other without really understanding each other, and because of 9/11, we had to really understand. We had to appreciate the things that we share in common, as opposed to the things that maybe would make different groups hate each other.
I think the American people need to get out more often, and if our students can take the leadership in doing that kind of stuff, I think that's a great example for our nation.
I think students everywhere, not just at USF, have a lot more impact than they're aware of. Because even just at USF, we have thousands of people here on campus every single day.
It's critical for us as a nation to have an appreciation, an understanding of cultures other than our own.
I think the more that people from different cultures learn about each other, the more they can find common ground.
I don't think anyone will ever forget where they were that day. I think you can ask anyone and they'll say the place, the time, how they felt. I was even 11, I can remember so many details from that day. So I would just say no one's ever going to forget, and no one ever should forget, because it's such a wake-up call to America.
The best thing that we can do it is just by having a true appreciation and understanding. And it works both ways, so hopefully they can also understand how we think as Americans. Because I'll tell you, at the end of the day, there is no greater nation than the United States of America.